I'm waiting for my friend to join, Tracy. Navigator Tarot. Hi, beautiful people. I hope you are joining us live as well. I'm just, okay, just 2 seconds. Beautiful, beautiful. I've added friend Tracy. Tracy, coming live. Hello. Hello. Oh. Oh, hello. I can. Can you see me? And you can hear me? I can now, but it's a bit of lag. Yeah, I've noticed that too. Yes. Oh, I can hear you properly now. Amazing, amazing. We're live. We're first time live on YouTube. Can you imagine this? Oh, can you see all right, Tracy? Can you see all right? This is our first time, so guys, apologies if we are basically not
Hang on a
doing
minute.
this
There is
correct.
something. Can you hear me now? Better?
Oh, much better. Oh, hold on.
Wow.
What just happened?
Because I have through the speaker. Sorry. That heaps better.
Oh, much better. Oh, much better. We started our first live, Tracy. Hello, everyone.
You too, anyway.
Hi, Tracy. How you doing? So we used to do this live on Instagram, but we got blocked on Instagram
Shadow
a
banned.
little bit, haven't we, Trace? Yes, shadow
And
banned.
why
So
do we get banned? Huh?
I
Why do
don't
we get
know
shadow
because
banned?
we weren't talking about any of this or any of other things
No.
that the YouTube
But I think it's because
YouTube or
we're both
Instagram
medical people. I think it's both because we're both medical people, and because we talk about
yeah.
alternatives to the medical, I guess the medical system, the way it is, we get shadow banned.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I know. It's because I've noticed lots of people talking about alternative stuff, but they don't have that sort of reaction. But listen, whatever is negative, that's why we alternative in a way that we look at people holistically, which is a physical, mind, and a spiritual, isn't it? So Tracy, you're a very
That's right.
spiritual person. And let me just introduce Tracy. She's been more than 40 years a nurse in Australia, beautiful people. In Australia, you've been A&E nurse, ER nurse, but then you have your own major experiences and spiritual awakening, and after that you start seeing things. You have contacts with the extraterrestrials, and you can feel things happening. You're very intuitive. So in our medical society, we have actually people who is intuitive as well. It's not just logically what we do go even in a medical when they teach you, they say go with your gut, isn't it? Gut instinct, that's important too. So
It's interesting because
that's Tracy, guys.
Hi.
Yeah, tell me.
Most, and for everybody else, because this, if you're on my channel,
Yes.
Angela is a doctor with how many years experience? A lot.
Yeah,
as
more
well.
than 20 years. Yes.
More than
I've been
20
a doctor
years.
20.
You're from Russia originally, and then you've also worked in Australia.
I'm Armenian. No.
Armenian. Sorry.
Armenian.
That's right.
Armenian,
And the family moved to Russia. That's right. That's right. And then you've also worked in Australia as a doctor, and you've also worked in New Zealand as a doctor, anywhere else, and now you're in the UK as a GP.
Yeah, I qualified GP in the UK, but I did have experience in Australia. I can't believe my friend is in Australia, and we met online during all of this, COVID era. It was amazing. I forgot to tell Tracy. Tracy is an amazing tarot reader, by the way.
Oh, reader.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how we met, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
Yes,
came to me for a reading.
Yes, I came for a reading.
But you
because
also,
I do.
but as a doctor, I mean, you're also very, very intuitive, which is, in my experience, in my 40 years of nursing, it's a very rare thing to have a doctor that is as switched on spiritually as you are, and holistically as you are. You know,
Thank you.
you're awake to mostly everything. There's only one other doctor I know of that I used to work with who is the same as you. But otherwise, no, the doctors are quite indoctrinated, or most of them that I know of. You know, and no fault of their own, because, you know, this what is it? This psyop that's actually happened to all of us over the last few years has been aimed at doctors from the minute they actually get into medical school. But total indoctrination,
So true.
hasn't it? You
So
know,
true.
and it was by design so that they could be totally sucked into the agenda over the last 5 years. So,
Absolutely.
that, you know.
So yeah, I've actually find out that myself through the experience, because you know I've been brainwashed, and then uh,
We
during my
all have.
experiences, looking at the patient, looking my own experiences, and when my father passed away and I couldn't help him, I couldn't understand why is it not cure, how it can happen. So I started dig deeper. It was more like a spiritual journey started when my dad passed away. And you know, when you are a doctor, you like, I supposed to help him firsthand, right? But I wasn't able to, and we went through the medical system. And I think my dad survived despite of the chemotherapy he had, just because he was a very positive person. But at the time, I didn't know, and I mostly like, you know, you want your dad to stay alive, you want him to continue, you think cancer it's a major disease, why is it happening over here? But unfortunately, when you start dig deep, you realize we create the cancer, we create what we eat, what we drink, our thoughts, this is most important thing, our gut, you know, all of this hasn't been taught to us in med school. All right, we've learned some stuff, don't get me wrong, you know, physiology, medicine, all of this stuff, but it's kind of a separated. And when you're coming out, they're probably telling you we're doing a symptomatic treatment. I mean, even yesterday I had a patient, she was like, nothing else is helping. Yes, of course, nothing else. Tablets will only treat some of the symptoms, but you develop over and over the same symptoms because you're not dealing with the cause. And that could be
That's right.
anything. That could be
It could be
anything.
anything.
Some
True.
psychological trauma from your gut microbiome. Because of your gut, your hormones go all over the place. Do you understand why? Because you have a leak, and then all of it just all connected. But people don't get
Yeah.
connection with this. I just wanted to actually
No, they
share my
don't. They
experience.
will.
A couple of days I
Yeah.
have very strange, like a patient. I feel for them, don't get me wrong, but I had this some sort of conversation when I've been told by other patient, the psychiatrist told them to take another antidepressant drugs, which pretty much the same thing. And I'm just listening at this and thinking, psychiatrist asking to do the same thing. What is the reasoning behind that? So when I asked the question, this poor lady just said, a psychiatrist said. I'm like, well, then the psychiatrist should know. Most of your serotonin, 70% of it actually produced in your gut. So instead of just giving the same advice to take another drug, ask her to help you to deal with your gut. Why didn't, so they obviously got upset about it and a little bit, yeah.
And do you
It's
find,
very interesting.
just, you know, it is. And do you find that a lot of people who, you know, do have these anxiety and depressive type incidents, that a lot of it is started in the gut, or vice versa? It's
Yeah,
kind of like, is it
yeah.
drugs that cause the upset gut, and the inflammation in the whole entire system?
Oh yes, so
Do you think that that's what it is to start off with, you know?
absolutely correct.
Or is it, yeah, okay.
It's absolutely correct.
It's
It's
like,
all starting with the gut. Everything starts with the gut. So in a way, what we're talking about, how I come to this conclusion, gut is more like physical now. Things happen. Is something wrong with you physically because you probably haven't dealt with your anxiety, with your trauma, and all this stuff, and now it's affecting your gut. It actually kills all your gut microflora, and all these antibiotics or other drugs we have, it destroys even more. Hence, it can't produce the serotonin, which makes us happy.
That's right.
So
Okay.
this is all
Yes.
connected. It
Gotcha.
doesn't produce serotonin, which makes us happy. And again, when we're given the drugs, it's just controlling the symptoms, but the side effects,
That's right.
nobody
That's all
talking
it does.
about
And
it.
that's, yes, I mean, and that's been my experience with myself and with clients and also patients over the years. I've noticed the same. One just compounds the other, really. It's like if you don't inquire, do any sort of self-inquiry work and healing work on yourself, and then you won't get led to, if you give over your responsibility for your health to an outside person before actually doing any inquiry within and finding your own way through it by actually being, relying on your intuition to be led to the right, what would I say, healing method that is going to work for you. And if you hand over your responsibility for yourself and accountability for yourself and hand it over to somebody else who just is going to give you a miracle pill, you are then compounding the problem. You're not listening to your gut. You're not listening to your intuition, which will always lead you to the right information, and will, like, literally it does for me. It's like anytime I've had something wrong with me, I go within, I ask the questions, and then I start to actually do some research and will, social media is an amazing thing. Google, even though it's compromised, can also lead you to other sort of information as well. The internet these days is so open to everything. It's like you can literally use that tool, that AI tool that we've been given, to actually help you. Even when you're actually going within and finding out the information for yourself, you'll be led. This is what's happened to me. I'll be led to certain treatments that are nothing to do with mainstream, and I would say, okay, so that makes sense. I'm going to go with that and see how that works for me, And I've done that so many times over the years now. It's like before I go to the doctor, I will literally go within, find the information I need to know. If there is something out there that leads to an alternative treatment that's going to work for me, I will be led there, literally, because my intuition will lead me there. And I think that's what a lot of us are not taught to do. A lot of us are just like, oh, we'll just go to the doctor, they'll give me a pill and it will make it better. No, you're just compounding the problem. You haven't done any self-inquiry. You've not actually seen where you've actually created the problem yourself anyway, and you haven't looked for any alternative treatments that may actually help you to cure you, because the medical system will not cure you of anything. It is symptom management. That's all it is. And you know that. I think we've been led to believe over the years that, there are these cures. There are no cures for anything in the medical system, but you can find cures if you go and look for the alternative, because there are cures out there, Case in point, many years ago, I had Helicobacter. Okay. And which is, that the gut, that was just
Bacteria, yes.
that
Causing
bacteria, whatever it was.
peptic ulcers, which is a gastric, gastric
yeah,
problems.
well, it can cause that, yeah. But it was a parasite, of course, of some description. But back then, didn't really know. So back in those days, you had to. Well, I think the treatment medically is the same. It's like, I think it's
antibiotics.
Is it what's
it's
the three?
It's two
antibiotics.
Yeah. So
yes, two antibiotics, and
omeprazole.
Yeah.
PPI. Omeprazole, like a high dose. So yes,
that's right. Yeah. So those three, I can't remember which one. Might be clavulanic acid or something like that. Anyway,
and
horrible, horrible. Oh my God, the effect
Um,
that it had on my system was dreadful. It
oh,
actually made, look,
really?
it made it, oh God, it was awful. So anyway, I went, I can't do this. So I started to look online. I was like, I'm going to find, and I actually had the intention of finding an actual cure for this, because I kept reading that it will come back. You know, it's like, well, I don't want it to come back. So I started doing some research, and I found this tea in Africa called,
Oh, yeah,
what's it
you told me
called?
that. What was it?
Matula
It's
tea.
fun.
Matula tea.
Oh,
And it was really expensive, but I had this overwhelming like intuition. It was like, this tea is going to cure you. So I actually bought the tea. It was very expensive, and you had to take it religiously, I think 3 times a day for 60 days. Well, I did it from the very first cup of tea that I had, my stomach settled right down. And I've never
really?
had a problem since. Yep, it was amazing. And apparently
Interesting.
this tea will cure a lot of will cure
Gut?
Helicobacter, so it never
Yeah,
comes
yeah, yeah.
back. It
Yeah,
never
yeah,
comes
yeah,
back. So
yeah.
I took that, and I've said to other people, you know, like, if you want to get rid of you, get this tea, because you have to religiously take it for 60 days, but your gut will thank you. So I actually did that. And I've never had it since. And, you know, my gut, even
Amazing.
after that, settled right down. Another thing that will settle your gut down is to go and get your hormones checked. Because I found that when I got my hormones checked, I was adrenally exhausted and wasn't producing hardly anything at all.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
nothing, like, because of the panic attacks and that I was having for all those years, because I had, you
Yes.
know, it
Yes.
had
Yes.
drained
It's like
my energy
adrenal fatigue
from.
syndrome. Yes. 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 Yes.
That's right, exactly.
Yes. Adrenal
So
fatigue
after I
syndrome,
did
which
that,
most of my patients
yeah,
have, by the way. I just tell you this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But if you go to like an endocrinologist, and not just any
You're going to be
endocrinologist, you
diagnosed with
have to go to one.
fibromyalgia
That's right. Well, you have to go to an endocrinologist who believes in
straight
the
away.
anti-aging therapy.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
and the
when you have all
bioidentical
these
hormone.
symptoms,
Yes, yes,
so
that's
when
it.
you have
You've
all these
got to find a
symptoms,
good one.
you're going to be diagnosed
Yeah.
with fibromyalgia, and that's what's going to be it. And you can do anything else about it, but it's more deeper if you
No,
start
so you
looking
just
over there.
don't. You bypass the GPs, or you go there and you say, well, you find, actually,
No,
you
we can't
start to
give this
do some
advice,
research.
Tracy. Tracy, we
Huh?
can't give this advice. We can't give this advice. This is just our own experiences,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So
No,
you
that's
like
right. These are just our
people need to go see
experiences.
their.
No, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah,
did,
yeah. Exactly.
I
Let's just do
found,
that way. What you
I
did.
found an endocrinologist that was leading the way in anti-aging therapy, and he was like leading the way in Australia.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was the one who helped me, and now I go to another one who is a devotee of the original person that I went to. But without them, I would not be where I am today. Without those endocrinologists, I wouldn't be here today. And I remember the stomach stuff as well started to settle down once
Yeah,
my adrenal glands had
of
rested. They were
course.
back to normal, and I'm still on bioidentical hormones. Have been since I was 39, and you know, I've never had a problem really about
You
with hardly
started on
anything
30.
anymore.
That's just a
Yeah,
typical age when it all starts, Trace. I'm just explaining to
yeah,
you why.
yeah,
All these traumas and what have you will affect your adrenal glands. Not enough
yep,
cortisol, your immune system goes down, you develop all sorts of
yep.
diseases because of immune system, and because your adrenal glands, I cannot do anything else and produce too much. The court, it's like so much. It's then will affect your female hormones quite a bit, right? And that's why you have all these
Yes,
women
it
coming
does.
out with all of sorts of bleeding and what have you. But what we do, we give more hormones to upset the liver, to cause even more gut, leaky gut syndrome, and it just goes on and on and on. It's just crazy.
Hang on a minute
So,
though.
but
Hang on a minute though. I will
yeah,
say, can you know about the synthetic hormones
yeah, I'm talking about synthetic hormones.
that's what
Yes,
you're talking about?
yeah, yes,
No,
I'm
so
talking about
the ones
synthetic
I've been
hormones.
on that actually fix the problem
Yes,
are
synthetic
bioidentical.
hormones.
Yeah, and
Synthetic
that's the
hormones. That's
difference.
what The synthetic
Yep.
hormones, I haven't done studies on about the one you're talking about. But what nowadays happening in the mainstream, they prescribe all of this. They made from petroleum and cow's urine as well.
Yes,
The synthetic.
that's right. Yes. Oh,
So
yeah.
bad.
Cows and
So bad.
horse urine,
Oh, do
pregnenolone
they
or
use
whatever it
horse
is. It's
urine as well?
bad.
Because I was just researching.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So yeah, that's, and then imagine this will then affect your liver. Your liver already lacking because it cannot because you
Mm.
have a leaky gut. All that shit goes through that leaky stuff,
Right.
go back to the liver. So that's why it's all this hormonal disbalance happening, and we just give symptomatic because we know there's not enough hormones, because they're coming up to the end of. And yours, guy, it's absolutely amazing because exactly anti-aging. This is when the
Mm.
most aging is
Yeah.
happening, when you have all of this,
Yeah.
when you have lots of stress and your adrenal glands are really tired. They're very, very
That's
tired.
right. They are. And I remember I remember him saying to me, what was he saying about? Oh, I've forgotten. Anyway, but he was saying, like, basically my father also had low testosterone all his life because my father had heart disease. He had 2 heart attacks,
So
a
true.
triple
Yeah.
bypass and a repair and a quadruple bypass. So he had so much. But he had actually said to me, your father's had low testosterone all his life. I can guarantee it.
He's right.
And he said that the
Right.
bioidentical hormones actually prevent heart disease from occurring and cancers as well, like a lot of things like that. He just said that it will prevent that. So
I believe that, but
I don't know.
it's again also I believe that, but it also depends on
Yeah.
a person, because I remember I told you I was a part of advanced medical college of Dr. Buttar, the guy who
Oh,
talk about.
yes.
He was a pioneer, and he actually treated cancer. Why am I mentioning this story? So I was a part of his advance. I've studied with him. He given me quite a few stuff before he died, basically, or being killed. But we can't talk about it, obviously.
No, we
He's
can't talk
actually, his
about
mother
it.
had a cancer. His mother had a cancer, and he treated his mother few times. She keep developing different cancers. So it also depends on the person. If you don't deal with that, you're constantly basically going to be in that negative state of mind, and whatever you give to, it's not going to help. So this is a beautiful story that this hormones endocrinologist, thank goodness for him, it actually helped you and did a little bit more research to find
Oh,
out what exactly is going on. Because lots of people just
yeah.
prescribe some drugs, and that's off you go. And that's why people become so used to that, and they come and say, well, give me a drug to feel better. We can't do that.
Oh, I know.
Can't make you
I
feel
know.
better.
And no, well, I remember at the time going to a GP and just saying, look, I feel like it's my hormones. I think something's wrong. And he said, no good checking your hormones. They'll be normal. I'm like, that was my intuition telling me there's something going on hormonally. Something's not right,
Wow.
but he wouldn't listen to me. So I had to eventually, like I didn't sleep for 2 years. I was terribly depressed, suicidal. But I mean, it had all come from that Kundalini awakening that just was out of the blue. And that was just 4 years of constant panic attacks and anxiety, like, clearing probably so many past lives and stuff like that through my physical body
Yeah.
that I was just exhausted. Like I couldn't keep
Through your
keep
adrenal
doing it.
glands. Yeah.
And like it's like now at the moment, like we'll go into the Ascension symptoms
Oh yeah, let's
because
talk about that.
back
Yeah.
then, yeah. So like
Yeah.
back then when it happened to me, so I was like 30, it was 1999, August 1999, I can pinpoint it, when it happened to me.
Wow.
It was like 4 years of basically Kundalini rising symptoms that just ripped throughout my whole body, and I went through years of panic attacks, years of anxiety, years of crying, years of being suicidal, all that sort of stuff. And that's when my adrenal glands became, and also I would have like, crias, like my arms and everything would do weird things, and my legs and everything would be,
Yes.
jerking and stuff. I had
Yes.
weird stuff going on
Yes.
for years. And
Yes.
so that was like 4 years later, that's when then all of the psychic stuff started coming up, and the visits from ETs and all sorts of other beings as well. And that's when my adrenal glands became so exhausted. That's when I found that doctor. But I believe that, and he was very spiritual. He used to see
Yes.
ETs as well. And he used to say, and look, every time I'd come there,
Wow.
he'd go, "Oh my God, Tracy, it's so good talking to you." And I was like, he and I obviously were meant to find each other. So that's the thing too.
Absolutely.
It's like,
It's all
if you're
meant to be.
exactly, it was all meant to be. He did a lot to help me out. But yeah, every time I'd get there, he'd be like, "Oh, so what's going on?" Like, and he would then talk about his experiences. I'd talk about my experiences. Yeah, so he was an
How
amazing man.
amazing. How
Yeah, he was.
amazing.
Mm,
Honestly,
mm.
how
Yeah, but
amazing.
wow, yeah. So that's what I was saying about the Ascension symptoms. So back
Oh, yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah. Let's go back. Yes.
I
Yeah.
yeah. So back then, there was nobody about that had actually ever had, oh, hang on, it's just a minute. Hey, Africa, it's just there, sweetie. Um, did you get the keys? The keys. Sorry,
That's
my
the
daughter's
perks
just
of
here
doing
at the
live.
moment.
Perks of doing
Sorry, yeah,
live.
she's just bringing some
You might.
cat food. Thank you, Africa. Oh, do I need to- Yes, maybe. She's just come to get something out of the car. The kids' bags. Thank you. Oh yes, take that as well. Bye. See ya. Oh, put the outside light on, Africa. Yeah, good. See ya. Bye. Yes, sorry. Yeah, so the Ascension symptoms. So back
Yeah.
then, I was having all those symptoms, like the Kundalini awakening symptoms. There was nobody out there that I could talk to because, so I ended up having to do my own research, and that's when I found a woman called Al Colley, she ended up dying from a lot of the Kundalini stuff that she had going on, because it can rip right through your body, and like I went through quite a few near-death experiences. Yeah, and she did too. But she eventually, I think, either took her life or died from the Kundalini awakening symptoms. Hers were very intense, but she was the only person, because I remember going through all the books trying to find, some sort of understanding of what was going on with me. So I would look up all the Eastern guru type people that had been through Kundalini, and I was like, that just doesn't work for me, because it just was culturally different, and they were talking about the energy just coming up, and then you get suddenly enlightened. It's like, well, that didn't happen to me. So I found El Collie, but I knew it was Kundalini, and then because it was just so violent, mine was so violent, and so was hers, and hers went on for years. But then what happened was I started to recognize that, well, then I found other people online who had been activated the exact same time as me in 1999. And then I started online, and then I would start to follow these people who were putting up all this, new age kind of wisdom up, but online. And so I started to sort of like find some rapport with these people. And then I found another woman called Karen Bishop, who also was going through a lot of those symptoms, but then she started going on about the awakening that was happening on the earth plane. It wasn't just me. I thought at first it was just me. But no, there were millions on the planet who were activated in 1999. Before that, during the harmonic convergence in 1987, there were another wave of people, and so on and so on. And before that, even way before that, so getting us all prepared and ready for the awakening, the spiritual awakening on a worldwide scale, which is happening now. So people are now awakening and also getting a lot of these symptoms. And the symptoms are coming from the planetary alignments, the sun also being with the, the coronal mass ejections and all that sort of stuff. So that's all, that's all happening, and it has been happening for a long time. And so depending on where, or, on what your birth chart is and everything else, when you're actually activated. Now, every single person on this planet who's chosen the higher timelines now are being activated and awakened. And so everybody will be going through these ascension symptoms. So back then I found Karen Bishop, who used to put up these ascension symptoms. And I would literally live for just her posts, because it was like, oh God, thank God someone's going through the exact same thing as me. And another person was Lisa Renee from I've forgotten the name of her, but I used to go to her all the time, and I've forgotten the name of her site. Anyway, so I used to go to those two all the time because I resonated with them, and they would always talk about stuff that I'd be going through at the exact same time that they were. So in the end, though, Karen Bishop ended up doing something else, and that was, she was guided to do something else. Lisa Renee, I still managed to go through and find a lot of her information, which is, about what's going on planetary-wise, galactically. So there's all that. But right now, everyone's going through these ascension symptoms because the awakening now is worldwide. Just about everybody on the planet now is being activated. And if they're not, they will be soon. Yes, yes. So a lot of the ascension symptoms.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're also picking up as an empath. You sometimes pick up the stuff is not even yours.
Starseeds, empaths. Yeah, there's so many. There's indigos, blue rays.
Yeah.
Depending on all sorts of other things and how your planetary alignments and all that come into being, and what Anyway, it's literally all of us are going through these ascension symptoms now, because the sun is now. They're like, you've probably heard of the Schumann resonance, where that is the electromagnetic, the atmosphere or whatever, the energy, that electromagnetic energy through the earth plane, but also coming from the sun, which seems to hit the earth, and it kind of and all these other planets too. And so we've got all these alignments happening at the moment, which are bringing about ascension symptoms. Ones that I used to have years ago, now everybody is starting to experience them, depending on how there's a huge solar storm this week. And so those ascension symptoms, and you and I talked about the heart flutters and the heart palpitations from last week.
Anxiety, because I've experienced this, and I know it's nothing to do with that, because I'm since I start waking up quite a bit, I've been doing quite lots of detoxing. Okay, so preparing my body to be able to get all of this energy, but it's still is so much stuff there. You need to kind of go through with that. It's amazing in a way. I mean, it's scary sometimes, but it is amazing. What about you?
It is. I mean, and being medical people, we probably do have to actually say to people, get checked out. If you are concerned at all, get checked out.
You have to, yeah.
But at the
you
end of
have
the day, you do. So that you can actually then put your mind at rest and go, okay. So if they find nothing, then it's probably something else. And so anxiety is a big one. So last week there was an X-class flare. So at the same time that you were going through your panic attacks and your anxiety, I'd come across a whole heap of people who were going through the exact same symptoms at the exact same time. And you and I had the heart flutters, and another friend of mine, she'd also had the heart palpitations the day before. And it was all kind of happening all at once. So it's that is happening for a lot of people. These ascension symptoms are coming up. And I do readings every day, just a quick energy
I was watching that. It's amazing.
Only because and the reason why I do them is because Karen Bishop is no longer here, and
Yeah.
I know how I relied on her, when and I would be feeling absolute, like I was the only person on the earth that was going through it. I would literally go to her posts and be like, oh my God. In those days,
It's
I
not
think it
me.
was like an email that she used to send and stuff like that, like a newsletter. It was a weekly newsletter. And I do weekly reports as well, and divine
Yes, you
masculine, divine
do.
feminine. Because,
Yes, you do.
but
Yeah.
it's the energy reports that I do every day, because I just know that things are starting to ramp up energetically for a lot of people. So,
I feel that
and so those
too. There
essential
is
things
so
are going
much
to get that.
energetically
Yeah.
happening. And people
Yes, it is.
unable, yes, it's so much happening. And I can see in it, even, we talk about more spiritually, but it's kind of manifesting in this 3D reality with all of the symptoms when the people come and see me, and most of the times when we can't find anything, and they say, why are you still getting it? But I can't answer that question, saying, it could be, the planetary alignment, or, Ascension symptoms, because imagine a GP saying stuff like
Not
that.
right. Yeah. No,
That's
oh,
gonna be
no.
so funny. They're like,
No.
what?
Yeah, but you can tell. I think we need to probably get that checked out. We'll check that out. Well, when you're in work mode, I mean, you and I, excuse me, you and I have been taught, and, that all to go into, into doctor, nurse mode when you're in that situation.
Yes.
You don't,
Yes.
I mean, I never brought any, I mean, people at work used to know what I was, and they would come to me for all sorts of things, on all sorts of different levels. But when I was at work as a nurse, which I'm no longer doing that work, but when I was
But you
working as
are.
a nurse, it was like, you've got to be very professional. You've actually got to, treat the person as you are taught to treat that person. And so
Yes.
that's what you do. You're in
Follow the
that mode.
protocols. Mm.
That's right. So you can't actually go, oh,
Mm.
could be Ascension symptoms. No,
It's just
because you'll be thrown out on your ear. I mean, I was thrown out on my ear, but
I know. Well, so have I. But it wasn't anything woo-woo. It was actually professional. When I said, well, this causing me anxiety. I'm not wearing the face nappy, and there's not enough evidence. So just do your own research about your jobs that you put in. So excuse me, but other stuff, I'm just doing it as supposed to be. But as a doctor, it's been, you've been told, like, do not harm. So at that time, I thought that was my truth,
that's right.
and nowadays people start seeing it. That was the truth, but at the time, that was only
That's
my
right.
truth. Yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
that was only my truth. But I wasn't doing any harm. I was just trying to, express my honest opinion, because you are a medical profession. So did you. So you've been penalized. They removed you from that job. I've
Yes, they
lost a
did.
couple of jobs because of that. But it
Yeah.
just was opinion. You don't have to lose a job because of it.
Yeah.
It's just
Oh,
stupid.
hey, I was actually the OC health and safety person on the ward, and I remember going to OC health and safety meetings in the hospital, and there'd be a room full of people, and the one person in reception that used to give me a hard time because I wouldn't put the mask on exactly when she wanted me to put the mask on, actually mentioned me in the OC health and safety meeting, that I was there, and she mentioned me in such a derogatory term. She didn't actually name me, but everyone knew she was speaking about me. And I just thought, you know what? You are so rude, like unbelievable. In the end, I spent more time in HR than I did on the ward, because it'd be like the DON would come in for a meeting and they'd be like, oh, and she'd come and I go, oh, we must stop meeting, like, because I would get dobbed on all the time by the same person, and for all sorts of things,
But that's
and to do with
madness.
the
That's
mask,
madness. The
the
receptionist
whole mask.
reporting a nurse
Yeah,
because
she
she's not wearing
well,
mask
I know.
properly.
She was, no, it wasn't even that. It was because
Idiot.
I wouldn't put it on. when she wanted me to put it on, when I walked through the door, I said, no, I'll be right. Thanks. I'll wait until because I had to go through the reception, go outside and then get to the ward. It was like, I don't want to put it on now. I'll put it on when I deem that it's necessary for me. You know, like I'm not working as a nurse right just now. Anyway, so so in the end, like the DON would come in, I'd be like, oh, I'd say, we must stop meeting like this. I'd say next time you bring the wine, I'll bring the cheese. I said, because this is becoming like a weekly occurrence. What the hell is going on? You know, they didn't. Like in the end, it was like, well, I didn't
I
care.
cannot
Like,
understand the whole thing.
horrible people, you know.
Do you know what
And
I've
now I just look at
noticed?
them and just think, yeah,
Yeah.
what?
Do you know what I've noticed with all of this mask craziness? Ugh, I'm still kind of it was like a PTSD. I'm recovering from the things, which
I think everyone's gone through
you
that.
can understand. I think the whole population going through that. But what I've
I think
noticed when
so.
I start seeing my patients, the who will come wearing the face nappy, even you don't have to wear that face nappy, either some sort of psychopath or very
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable person have so much anxiety they needs to hide behind it. So they were still wearing this. And by the way, I'm not, it's not I'm judging them, it's just I'm putting them in category because it's easy for me to deal. You kind of know what sort of, you just listen to them and you see why they're putting that on. They don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
seen. They are hiding. They're not telling the
Yeah,
truth. All right? It's
no,
that's the whole thing.
that's right.
But
That's right.
yeah,
Yes.
yes, but other stuff, why I felt very anxious, because it felt that they're putting the that face nappy against for you to stop talking. They're suffocating you,
Mm.
And when you've
Yes.
been in South,
Yeah.
yes, they're suffocating you. And when you've been in the situation when you've been you were a victim and you've been with the perpetrator psychopath, because I had that some sort of situation in my life which made me so understanding if it's some
Mm.
sort of gaslighting behavior. That's why I understood straight away what's going on.
Mm.
Because it's a gaslighting,
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
doesn't make something right. It's you understand it's
No.
not right because you see one thing,
Mm.
they say something else out there, and I've lived with a person like that before.
Mm.
So you
Mm.
start, that's
Yeah, you
why
got it
I
right.
able to
Exactly. We were all gaslighted. All of us were
proper
gaslit. It was
gaslighted,
absolutely,
proper gaslighter,
oh my God. Yes. The whole world was.
psychological
And that's what
warfare.
people,
Absolutely.
that's exactly what it was, Angela. You're dead right. Psychological warfare. That's exactly what it was. And a
And when
huge
somebody
psyop as well.
proper, it
Mm.
was so, and how can you affect when you psychologically kind of, disabled, you cannot make decision that
Mm.
self. What goes wrong? Your adrenal glands. So much stress, cortisol, cortisol, cortisol,
That's
cortisol,
right.
with all of this stuff. Fear,
Mm.
constant
Yep.
fear, all that negative feel.
Constant
Cortisol,
fear.
is like
Yep.
whole your body goes through again. You reduce immune system. Even if like you will get it, you will manifest that actually, because you in constant fear, you're constant worrying about you're gonna get something, you're gonna get it.
Mm.
I see my
I
patients
know.
all the time. I
Exactly.
just listen to them. It's so interesting how this is all can affect people and people don't realize. And all
I
the so
know.
much negativity they watch on TV is crazy.
Mhm. It is great. I know. I can't believe that people still watch mainstream. It's
Right?
bizarre
I
to me.
just little bit comes on is like, I don't think so. Bye.
No,
I can't.
no. Do you know, it was funny when I was working as a nurse, because I haven't watched mainstream media or anything for years. I reckon more than 10 years. And I remember, like when I was working, the people would have the
Yeah.
TV on. Every now and again, I'd hear some shit, and I'd just be like, oh, "This is just some news or something." I'd be like, "This is a total load of bollocks." But anyway, and so I would just listen to it. I would actually watch it at work. When people had their
Yeah.
TV on and I was doing stuff, I would listen to it and hear it or see parts of it, and know that all of it was just all lies. So it had no effect on me. It was like, oh, so what lies are they telling this
Interesting.
week?
What's gonna be today? Oh,
I
well,
believe
you
this.
know what?
What lies are they telling today?
I think
What are
you
we going
were
to lie
so
about
more
today?
advanced, Trace. I think you were so more advanced at the time. We're talking about spiritually. So you can kind of just say, oh, what they're
Oh,
going to say that at time. But at the time, I used to work for Public Health England, and that old TV was
mm,
coming up. I was a bit too, um, you know, vocal, shall I say, what I actually think about it. So people used to
mm,
think I'm absolutely crazy, but I didn't know it was too much emotions going on. Wouldn't understand why you people listening, you are harming yourself. I was really worried about all the population, and I became kind of I went to the victimhood mentality, because
yeah,
being a hero trying to save others is you doing stuff against yourself. So that was my major learning experiences
yeah,
over that psychological warfare, because I was trying to
yeah.
protect everybody.
Do
And I
you
was,
know, I think we were all there though. I know, we were all there though, Angela. I would try and warn people back then, because I really thought that was going, that they would die. I really did
yeah,
think that. And it did kill my father. Um, but I haven't lost anybody else. Thank God for that.
mm,
Anybody else that was close to me, really, that I know. But I did lose my father, unfortunately, and my auntie. She died, just not long afterwards as well, from my
yes,
father.
I had
So you know,
few stories. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, but not that many people. I haven't lost many others apart from that, from those two. Thank God, nobody young. Anyway.
but it's also caused lots of autoimmune. You won't probably lose it, but it caused like a increased chronic disease and all other stuff from my own experiences. Not I'm gonna say anything.
Mm,
It's just my own curiosity. I
no.
just observe things what happens. So I've noticed lots of
I've
autoimmune
noticed,
disease. And
yes, yes, autoimmune disease, and I've noticed a lot of people have stomach issues and skin issues, which kind of
depression.
makes some sort of sense. Yeah, because the epithelial cells on the alimentary tract and the skin they're exactly the same. They're made from
Mm.
the same stuff, pretty much. So
Embryologically,
it's
yes. Well,
interesting that
yes, made from the one cell
yeah,
anyway. So, but
yeah.
actually,
So
my
so I have
aunties.
noticed that.
Do you know what else I noticed? I have to be honest, because my auntie's husband killed himself because after all of that he developed severe depression, and then
Oh,
he
really?
basically hung himself.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and then he
Yeah,
hung
that's
himself.
interesting, isn't it?
It was like,
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, you can speculate whatever, but that's the only thing was different all that years. Do you understand what I'm saying? And he just suddenly
Mm,
from
mm.
never developed all of this stuff, were healthy, completely healthy,
No.
and
Yeah.
just yes.
Oh, jeez.
So I've noticed that. I've
Yeah.
noticed um lots of like
Mm,
clots and pericarditis, myocarditis, all of those stuff I had as a, but I couldn't say anything, and I'm not going to say anything, because I think it's about time for people start talking. Um, it's because their issues right now, because they have to make a choice, and the information been there for quite some times, and
exactly.
nowadays there is no point. I'm sorry, it's just no point,
No,
because
there isn't. Oh, you can't save anyone. And people. I've heard people go on about doctors knowing and still keeping it quiet, and I just said, no, because the doctors that I worked with, they believed it 100%, and they still
yeah,
do.
yeah, yes,
And
yes, I
it's
know.
like I've seen that, and a lot of the nurses are questioning it, but a lot of them still believe it as well. The
Yes,
hospital systems will still maintain that you've got to be jabbed and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. Like the
yes,
system, the demonic medical system is still in place. And I call it that because that's what it is. It is run by demons. not talking about the doctors and nurses. I'm talking about those that run the medical system.
Above there. Exactly, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
doctors
Yeah.
and nurses. I mean, we are one of them as well, who actually come to the profession
absolutely.
to help people, heal
We didn't
others, and
realise.
I've
We did
met
not
lots of good
realise.
people. Yes, and
Yeah.
I met lots
I
of good
didn't
people.
realise at
And
all.
also, can I just tell
Yeah.
you something? We talk about medical profession, but the alternative medical system, it's another cult as well, because I went to have like conference with them and I saw how they behave. They blame doctors, and I just look at them and I'm
Yeah.
thinking,
No.
blaming from
Well,
one
it's
to
not
another.
doctor,
Oh,
you know,
this is not the way it's
they're
done.
trained.
We're all in here
Well,
together.
you and I
And plus,
know
we
the
have
training
education.
system.
I'm sorry to say
That,
that, because some of them alternative, I said, they open clinic with zilch stuff, don't even know simple thing,
yeah,
but they're running a clinic.
that's right.
And I'm like, how is it? It's a
Mhm.
charlatans if you think about it. Yes, but the doctors are
Mhm.
it's in fault. Right, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to take from both of them. They're all as bad as each other. Okay, I thought we're here
Yeah,
together. We're here to connect. We're here to heal. We're here to be happy.
yeah, that's right. And like, and that's the thing. And it's like, you know, I've heard so many people like blame doctors and that they've taken a payment or whatever. And it's like, well, no, and that they know that it was wrong. And I'm like, yeah, no, they don't. They
No, they
were
didn't.
targeted right from the day one that they started in medical school. This has been a psyop that's been 150 years in the making, and of course they
Yeah,
targeted doctors right from the word go,
from the
and
beginning.
nurses as well. That's why they
Yeah,
put nurses in the university system, so that they could be as indoctrinated as the doctors for this time, and that's what people don't understand. So the only way that you can actually now get people in the health profession to wake up, they actually need probably, you know what they do, you know, that sort of, I don't know how they do it, but the deprogramming that they do for cult members that want to get out,
yes.
that's the only way I think that you're going to be able to wake them up, the people that are in the health profession,
Deep
because
program.
they're
Yeah,
indoctrinating everybody. I'm talking about allied health as well, you know,
yeah.
all of them have
Oh,
been
thank
totally
you.
indoctrinated.
Thank you.
My brother
Exactly.
is a speech pathologist. He is so indoctrinated. You know, it's like the more years you spend at university, the more you're indoctrinated. And it's a very, very strong person, and a very, like, I don't know how you did it, and I don't know how this other doctor that I know did it either. Like, honest to God, because really it's a big thing.
I think my
It's
spirit was
you know,
stronger. I think my
oh,
spirit was
absolutely, your spirit
stronger,
was
and I
stronger.
always follow my heart. Yeah, I
That's
always
right.
follow my heart.
But you know, but I think what happens is that the ego, the ego is programmed to be. Once you're at university and you've become a health professional, you're somehow an elite. You're up there in that they've put you up in this elite structure, so that in this
Yes,
hierarchical structure, and your ego is it's like it's
doubling
too
up.
caught up in that. And
Mm,
if you actually let go of, you have to let go of your ego to be able to, that, you know, and that program. And it's really, like, I see it with my brother. There's nothing you can do. You cannot get past anything. I don't suggest anything to him at all, you know,
I know.
which
I
is,
know.
so I think the only way is a total deprogramming for the medicals, for all of the people in allied health as well, all that whole medical system. And I don't know how that's even going to start, you know,
But I think it's
and
lots of
all of the
things is
education
happening,
system.
because I
It
work in
is, it
Cambridge.
is.
It's happening. Funny enough, I mean, I work in
It is.
Cambridge. Talking about program people, they're the most programmed people I've actually met,
Mm.
patient-wise too. Even though they are very educated, professors and all of that come in, and you're like, okay. So,
Mhm.
we were talking about deprogramming. What were we talking about?
Mm.
I got sidetracked.
The program, um, deprogramming from the cult, like a cult, like you've got to be deprogrammed.
But I wanted to say
Like
about this.
being programmed
They
in the
are.
cult. Yeah,
It's like they are so. It's so bad. They
they
are
can't.
like they
I know.
are. They can't. And you sometimes listen to them and just give little bit things. It makes common sense. Oh yeah, that's the one I was talking about. So, and the newly studies now coming. I'm reading a paper come up to me from the patient. I remember that was in Cambridge, and now Edinburgh start doing a study to link between breast cancer and gut microbiome. But it's been known for years.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? Like we
they
all know
be a
about this.
parasite. That's
We
right.
all know about this stuff. And now they're doing this new study, and you're like, okay.
Mhm. This new
It's like,
study. Well, how about you look at parasites as well? Because it's probably a parasite that's caused the gut biome as well.
another parasite. Exactly. And
Yeah.
another story, exactly from Cambridge. Can I just tell you about this story? Because I was like, yeah,
Mm.
sure, they will try that. So they've admitted this guy with all sorts of first pericarditis, but then they had to do tamponade because he was about to die. Nobody knows what's going to happen to him. And you know what? They give it to him, and he became much better. Ivermectin. And infection, thank you. So you already see it's been caused by parasite, because they usually give the
Yeah.
ivermectin if it's parasitic stuff. And the top
Yes.
doctor needs to come, top doctor, infection disease, and
Mhm.
just say, oh, let's give the
Yeah.
ivermectin. When there's lots of people know about this for years now. It's like,
Wow. I know.
wow, top doctors, the clever dudes over there, you see.
Uh, Ivermectin, fembenzidol, or whatever it's called. Is it fembenzidol or fembenzidol?
Fembenzidol,
That's
fembenzidol and ivermectin, but they gave them ivermectin and he
that's it.
got better. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
basically,
There's
yes,
an actual regime now that you can take. Um, Ivermectin, fembenzidol, and yeah, all
benzodiazepine.
sorts of other stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they're
yeah.
all
Yeah.
antiparasitic. They treat quite well the animals, by the way. Funny enough, but
Mm,
yeah. So
yes. Yes.
that's how interesting. It's beautiful that you become more and more aware. You do different studies. You actually see all of this stuff, and you still kind of in the medical system, because the
Yep.
system have all of us. We are part of the system. We
We
just
are.
live in
We're all
with
a
the
part
peace
of it.
with that.
We are.
Yes, yeah, we live
Every
in with the peace
system
with
is,
that, because yes.
uh-huh. Yes, we
So
have
the
to
whole
because
idea, live with
yes,
peace, do your thing, be
oh,
happy, and help
yeah,
others.
yeah,
As simple as that.
yes,
How
and
they doing
yeah,
it,
exactly.
and everybody allowed to have their own truth. So I didn't think that was right to shadow ban us on Instagram or doing some other bits,
No,
because we are not harming anybody. We're just giving some
no, we're not.
information and hoping people like to hear this. And next time we're gonna ask
You
our
know,
listeners to actually ask some question. Guys, if you
we can
have
do that.
interested in any topic, yes, interested in any topic, we can have
Yes,
some
that's a good
questions,
idea.
and see what's
That's a
going on.
great
Yeah,
idea.
because
Yeah,
today
that's a great idea.
we usually, me and Tracy usually talk about feminine, divine feminine update, but today we were just more talking about
Uh,
our own
No,
experiences,
no,
giving
we
ideas, yes,
just let it go with the flow. Let it go,
as
let
we
it go.
usually do. As we usually do. Do you want to do the cards? Whoever listeners we have like the three listeners right
I
now here,
can,
which is
I
amazing.
can.
Hello.
Hang on,
So let's do the cards.
hang on.
Just couple of cards for the next week, and we will finish
Okay,
our
okay.
live. But we can do
Yes.
the, but we can we'll put that there when we're doing live. We're aiming like once every 2 weeks. Yes, live, if they want to have any questions and what have you,
Yeah,
we
yes.
can do that.
Yep.
Or once a week, depends on what's happening with our
Or depending,
situation.
sometimes I can, depending, because sometimes, sometimes I have things on, sometimes you have things on.
Oh, I
Um,
know,
so
I know.
we'll just try it. We'll try for
Go with the
every
flow and
couple
see.
of weeks.
Yes.
Yeah,
So Tracy gonna
hang
go
on.
do some card reading, because I mean every time I'm in some sort of crossroad and I need some question to
This is just
answer,
for,
she
so
helps. She
this is
all of
just for,
us.
are we just doing for the week? Okay, so energies
Yes,
for
we
the
just
week.
for the week. Yes, because this week it's apparently crazy energy. Saturn is going to Aries,
It's
your sign.
Aries in something. Yeah,
Yes.
into Aries. And
Yeah.
there's the Emperor, which is the Aries card. I was going to say that. So, yes, did you say what was going into Aries?
The Saturn.
What was going into Aries? Saturn.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yes.
going into Aries. So that's the Emperor there. That's the Aries card. So I was going to say there's some planetary alignments that are happening at the moment that probably will bring about a few changes. Could be earthquakes too, I'm hearing as well.
Really?
So there could be earth changes too. Yep, blackouts, lots of, I get blackouts as well. 5, yeah. What else? So this week for a lot of people, it's going to be a little bit up and down a bit, the energies, but literally by the end of the week we should be moving, once we get out of this this solar storm that's happening at the moment, it should actually move us into a calmer waters and a lot more peaceful way of being, because that's what these energies are doing, even though it can create a little bit of turmoil sometimes. What it's actually doing is removing anything that is no longer required for us to take into these new earth energies. So
Amazing.
they will lead us into calmer waters. But I do get that there could be even earthquakes, blackouts, earthquakes. That's what I'm hearing. Blackouts and earthquakes.
But there's people shouldn't be fearful. It's just more kind of aware what you're gonna hear and just go with the flow. Yeah.
Well, if you're fearful, you need to go and look within and find out. And but the thing is, as within, so without. So anything that we're actually going through on an outer level is actually going on within. So if there are solar storms and things that are actually creating this shifting and all of that on the earth plane, and the earthquakes in the ground and on the earth plane, what is actually shifting within you? Go within. If you're fearful at all, go within and find where the origin of that fear is, and find out where your own little earthquakes are happening, so that you can actually, the earthquakes are happening so that we can shift frequency, like all of these, it's like breaking apart something that needs to be broken apart. And if it's leading to fear, then you need to go within and find where that fear, where the core of that fear comes from, and then release it. So that's your own little earthquakes that are going on within. So if you're moving into fear,
that's so profound, Tracy.
Really.
Wow, thank you so much, Trace. Thank you. People and now the awakening symptoms for next week. Oh wow. But yeah.
Well, yes. Well, you will. Well, there may be. I mean, also too, because last week I also had hypoglycemic episodes too. Now that's another one. I remember a few years ago some of these symptoms that I had. I remember one day I had hypoglycemic episodes, and I had to eat every 20 minutes. Otherwise, my blood sugar would go screaming down. I could feel it. It was like, oh my God. In the end, I thought, is there something wrong with me? Because this is just happening all throughout the day, and I'd be feeling like really bad. And then then I thought I better go and get checked out, And then the next day I woke up, I was right.
Fine.
I was perfectly fine. I didn't have those episodes. I was like, I started to think, like, am I diabetic? What's going on?
I can imagine.
Because these Ascension symptoms, and I will say, go and get checked out if you're worried, because they can manifest sometimes as symptoms of disease, when or some sort of imbalance. But it's not always the case, But go and get checked out if you're a little bit concerned, so that you can figure it out whether or not it is Ascension or whether it is. And also, look up people. Well, you can come to my channel, or if there are others too that you can find that have these Ascension symptoms. And
I'll put that in the link.
Elle Colley. What's really interesting? Elle Colley, well, that's that woman I told you about that had the Kundalini experiences and all that, I have noticed, because she used to have a whole list of Kundalini awakening symptoms, right? Every single Ascension symptom that I've ever found has come, I reckon, from her putting out that big list in her book.
Yeah.
Because she lists every single one of those symptoms that she'd ever had. She did so much, I think, for the Western person that was going through Kundalini awakening episodes, because she went through so much, really. But anyway, so I digress. But anyway, so just all the Ascension symptoms, just get checked out if you're worried, okay? Because I was going to go and get checked out that next day, but then everything's settled again. You know, go and get checked out if you're having heart pain or anything like that, just to make sure. But the coronal mass ejections that are coming from that sun, there's a huge black hole in that sun at the moment, which apparently is going to be, it causes like a vacuum that will start up a solar storm, which we are going through right now. So
amazing times.
Yes, it is. But if you're riding on a particularly high frequency, it may not upset you as much as it will others who are of a lower, sort of like in that lower echelon of frequency at the moment. And that's only because they are being activated now. So most people on the planet are being activated on some level so that they can begin their ascension as well. So all of us on the planet
talking about
will
the
have
high
to go
vibration.
through
Talking about the high vibration. So if you want to have an energy reading, go to Tracy's channel. I'll put that down below. Or if you want to start your detox, I give online consultations, so you guys can come to me. I'll write my email down if you need the online consultation, because I've been detoxing for the last 5 years, and I'm seems to be doing all right with this Ascension symptoms. So beautiful people, wishing you healing weekend. Look after yourself, detox, be happy, improve your increase your vibration, and we'll come to you.
Get out in nature. Take your shoes off.
Shall we say next week?
Feet on the ground.
Yes.
We can. Oh, we'll have a look at next week or the week after.
Okay. So we are planning for the next Sunday. Yes, for the next Sunday, but we might change it in 2 weeks' time. But I will make an announcement. Beautiful people, wishing you a very beautiful Sunday. It was lovely talking to you, Trace. I'll come back to you.
You too.
Ciao, ciao, ciao. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.